I mean, canonically speaking, in terms of any story whatsoever, at a certain point, at a certain level, all stories need to end. Alright, class, settle down and let me tell you a story. The 10th edition of the Grey Knights Codex finally dropped. And in classic Games Workshop fashion, it decided to go along with a lore reveal, particularly the Terminus decree, and a large segment of the community is definitely crashing out. So, might as well check in with one of our oldest 40k mentors in the channel, Majorkill, and to see what he thinks. But before we do, please like, share, subscribe, do the whole notification button thing to help me out with the algo, and here we go. Last time, Games Workshop decided to drop or change some lore. It resulted in pushing a lot of its players to the arms of a possible Kickstarter rival, Trench Crusade. To be honest, it didn't make much sense to me then, since the Adeptus Sororitas already exist, so why bother trying to push them into the Custodes? But you know what, now it seems like, they tried their best to sweep it under the rug based on how the community reacted. I always wondered, who was that for? They've known their audience since the 80s. They know their core audience. What made them think that they were going to go along with it? Anyways, the main issue now is that who would win, the Custodes or the Grey Knights? Let me know in the comments and let's go.
G'day guys and gal. Games Workshop loves sprinkling in a whole lot of mystery into the lore. Those
That they
cheeky
do.
buggers. They all say something like, this dagger was used to kill the 2nd and 11th, and now is infused with the power even the Chaos Gods fear. If paired with the butthole of truth, it can open a door that will change the galaxy forever. Now that sounds extremely dramatic and cool, but they don't specify what will happen, where the butthole of truth can be found, and if the 2nd and 11th is referring to the Lost Primarchs. 40k is full of that stuff. The Terminus decree being one of the biggest.
Okay.
However, GW just dropped an absolute lore bomb on us with the new Grey Knight Codex, unveiling exactly what the Terminus decree is and what it entails, and let's just say the response has been mixed. They
Yes, it
definitely
has.
subverted expectations, as all the
As it has, because people are definitely freaking out, but it may not exactly be a bad thing in terms of marketing, because it definitely shakes things up.
theories on what was on the decree were completely wrong. I mean, we literally were told about what the decree was during the End and Death, only for the current decree to be completely different, and if I'm kind of honest, kind of fucking retarded. Before we get started, I love 40k, but
It's clear from the thumbnail alone that he's not in with the program, he's not in with the new codex, he doesn't like it. But you know what, let's see what he has to say. That's why we're here. So if you guys want to see an alternative opinion regarding this matter, please feel free to drop in a link of a creator that you think has a more balanced approach, or has a more balanced opinion of the new codex. All right.
okay, so for a while, the Terminus decree was one of those cool bits of lore that was mostly forgettable. The lore said it was instructions from the Emperor himself, hidden in a box that only the Supreme Grand Master of the Grey Knights would know about. It was said that only in mankind's darkest hour, when all
Is this the one where the Sigilite, Malkador the Sigilite, was involved? That he was the one who basically made the Terminus decree, he hid it, and then he gave it to the Grey Knights or something? Can someone please put it down in the comments?
hope seemed lost should the box be opened and the orders within carried out, which was said to carry a dramatic but extremely effective instruction that could turn the tide of the apocalypse at great cost. Something along the lines of, will either save mankind or doom it to oblivion, the ultimate sanction. So quite spicy stuff. So basically any theory
Yeah, it was, and it will probably doom mankind. I mean, this is grimdark after all, and so I'm guessing is that it will doom mankind, and then of course it would basically give Games Workshop a chance to rebuild, since it will destroy everything. It's like in Warhammer Fantasy they have the end times, so they could like break down everything and then build it back again. So, I don't know, it sounds like something Games Workshop would do. They could just, destroy everything, and then, you know what, let's start back from square one. This is how it happens. We're breaking everything down. We're gonna make the destruction. We're gonna make Armageddon the lore as part of the lore, just like what they did with Warhammer Fantasy, and we're gonna start back from square one. There's gonna be a new emperor. There's gonna be new Space Marines, if that's what you're going to call them at all. But it seems like something Games Workshop would do.
Had to involve something extremely dangerous and dramatic that, if mishandled, would cause the Imperium's cheeks to be clapped. Early theories include instructions to set free the Dragon of Mars, as was done during the Randang Xenocides. This force would be apocalyptic in power and more than capable of having a massive impact on the setting. However, the Imperium probably wouldn't be able to control it without the Emperor, and it could easily cause the Mechanicus to have a schism, well, at least another one, and Imperial worlds to burn. Also, the Necrons could pokeball it and take it for themselves.
Of course.
Another theory was that it gave instructions on how to shut down the Golden Throne, releasing the Emperor from his burden and allowing him to regenerate. This would also shut down the Astronomicon and rip open the Webway Gate on Terra, but perhaps this was meant a enemies at the gates, Terra is lost kind of situation. So getting the Emperor back in action at the last moment could be a dramatic way to turn the tide. A lot of people believe this theory, as the box containing the Terminus decree had a symbol which also matched the symbol on the Golden Throne, making it seem very likely the instructions
I honestly wouldn't put it past them as a money-making scheme to just, break down everything, just, start from the beginning, and we can start selling new stuff again. I honestly wouldn't put it past Games Workshop.
had a lot to do with the Emperor. Another theory is that it was instructions to reawaken the Angel of Destruction, the proto-Primarch the Emperor created, but then it basically turned into Hitler and was hell-bent on genociding everything that could be tainted by chaos, which is pretty much everything. However, unleashing that monster in a galaxy full of chaos probably wouldn't be the worst thing. All of these were decent theories, with merit. However, the Horus Heresy gave us a new, very strong theory that everyone actually took to be the new official Terminus Decree law. It was even sort of referred to as that. Basically, there was a guy, massive asshole actually, called Basilio Foe, a 5,000-year-old genius scientist who was on par with the Emperor when it came to biomancy, able to permanently extend his lifespan using pure science, no pacts with the devil or warpery. However, he mostly used his powers for evil, selfish reasons and was eventually imprisoned by the Emperor after he waged a war against Horus during the Great Crusade on a distant world. This was actually one of Horus's hardest compliances, where the Primarch himself almost faced death. During the Siege of Terra, due to the desperation of the Custodian Guard, when Foe said he could create a gene virus that would exterminate all Space Marines and Primarchs, they allowed him to build it, and build it Foe did. He was a pain in the ass about it, escaping multiple times and doing some pretty dog shit.
Because why not, right? You have a doomsday device, assured mutual destruction. Might as well make that virus that would destroy everyone. I can't have it, so can't you. You can't have it, no one else can. If I can't have it, no one else can. So, yeah, that would definitely make sense. That virus would definitely make sense.
But the end result was a super virus, exclusive to Space Marines and Primarchs that had no chance of mutating and infecting normal humans or custodians. Now the details aren't specific, such as why this virus would be harder than other viruses to contain. Like if you infected a Space Marine on a planet and all Space Marines on that planet got infected, what's to stop the planet from then being quarantined? How could it travel through space?
Just let it
die. It wasn't a warp virus after all, so it didn't have bullshit hacks. After all, Nogolite plagues are contained. Well, I think maybe it would just be able to be put into guns and fired into areas, meaning even guardsmen would be able to decimate Space Marine forces by themselves, the virus not even needing to hit the Space Marines directly to infect them. There was also the issue of the demon.
I mean, why not? Just, give the power back to the people. They've done that. They tried that in Rome. This is literally the story of Space Rome.
And Primarchs, who likely had ascended beyond such means. But let's stop being rational for a bit and assume that if the virus was unleashed, it would infect and kill all Space Marines in the galaxy. That fits the Terminus Decree's bill pretty bloody well. All hope lost, enemy at the gate, many traitor Marines, barely any loyalists, a dramatic weapon that would take Space Marines off the playing field, leaving it up to the Guardsmen, Mechanicus, and Custodes to fight for the Imperium. Likewise, if used too early, it would just take out all the loyalists and traitor Marines, leaving the Imperium vulnerable to demons and Xenos. Either way, it would be rough, but it also could make some sort of sense. However, this turned out not to be the Terminus.
I mean, canonically speaking, in terms of any story whatsoever, at a certain point, at a certain level, all stories need to end.
Decree. See, shit had gotten so bad with the Great Rift and whatnot that Kaldor Drago decided it was time to open the box and see what the decree said. Here it is. The decree states that the Grey Knight's most important...
Alright. Held in a simple wooden box, the only Supreme Grand Master may open. The Terminus Decree details the Emperor's final command to the Grey Knights chapter. The Master of Mankind can never be allowed to leave the Golden Throne, either return to life reborn in another's body, or ascend as some kind of warp entity, and if he does, the Grey Knights must return him to his terrible duty. Indeed, they were created with the possibility of this event in mind, a task beyond the abilities of any other force in the Imperium. The decree offers no guidance on how such feats may be achieved, for it is neither a weapon nor magic formula. Rather, the Grey Knights would themselves be the weapon on such desperate day, one that would likely have to cut a path through the ranks of the Custodian Guard and many others to see its duty done. Okay, so, well, place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Who would win? Grey Knights, Custodies? Put it down in the comments. I mean, that's the new issue after all.
Important duty is to ensure that no matter what happens, the Emperor stays on the Golden Throne. If the Emperor is to awaken and revive, be reborn in a new body, or ascend to become a true warp god, or literally anything that interrupts his current duty, then they must do everything in their power to return him to his undying, agonized form, ensuring he remains on the Golden Throne, fulfilling his horrific duty. And no, there was no instructions on how they were actually supposed to carry out this task. Now, this is a massive bitch move by the Emperor, as if the Emperor revived, it would be a celebration for the Imperium, only for them to be horrified as 1,000 Grey Knights perform a desperate deep strike into the palace. The decree literally says they would be expected to fight and kill custodians and anyone who tried to stop them, with their end goal to be to slay the returned Emperor and put his body back on the throne. Jesus Christ. I feel like the Emperor should have a matching box for the custodies with instructions to allow the Grey Knights to perform his duty, as right now, his orders are pitting two of the Imperium's most effective fighting forces into a desperate death.
That is strange, though. Why would you pit two of your most powerful against each other without actually knowing what's going to happen next? Alright, we're going to set your ass back on the throne. One! That needs what? 1,000 lives a day to keep running, by the way. So, what happens next, then? What happens after? It's always after. I'm pretty sure the battle is going to be epic. They're going to sing songs of this particular battle. But the question is, what happens after? Will there be anyone left to sing songs after the battle? Could this be the cataclysmic reset or restart that Games Workshop is looking for? You know what? Let's scrap it so we can start selling new stuff again. It could be a possibility. We'll never know. Let me know what you guys think. Put it down in the comments.
Match, where one side would be completely annihilated. Now let's not kid ourselves, the Grey Knights would have no chance. A Grey Knight is a space marine with better gear, better anti-warp resistance, basic psychic powers, making them great at fighting demons, but they are still a space marine. When the Grey Knights and Space Wolves fought, Logan Grimnar tore through them like butter. A Custodian, on the other hand, is the natural predator of space marines, able to slaughter them like chaff. One Custodian Warden was almost able to wipe out an entire squad of elite Dark Angels who themselves were supported by a Librarian. Custodians are naturally resilient to psychic powers. The Grey Knight's abilities would have little effect, not to mention the Sisters of Silence who would nullify their warp abilities completely. Even with most Custodians currently off-world and their numbers being lower due to the Core Knight attack at the Lion's Gate, they would still fucking molest the Grey Knights, even if outnumbered. The Grey Knights only
Okay, so our Major here is on this side of the Custodies. Let me know if he's right or wrong in the comments. Because I honestly don't know. I honestly wouldn't know. Alright?
Shot would be a surprise attack if they requested an audience with a revived Emperor, but even that wouldn't work. The Custodians would sense something off and would only allow a tiny handful to be in the Emperor's presence at once. Also, the Emperor would probably know they were there to try fulfill the Terminus decree, and if he'd actually changed his mind, then they would have to literally fight the Emperor himself. So yeah, the lore is like fucking retarded. Especially when you remember that things in 40k change all the time. Fate is
definitely did not mince words over here.
Never ordained. No one foresaw Gilliman or the Lion's return. It was a shock. The Emperor barely had the foresight to deal with the Horus Heresy, let alone the next 10,000 years. A huge collaboration between the Necrons, Eldar, Dark Eldar, Fabius Bile, Call, and Saint Celestine could potentially see a clean Emperor resurrection. That would also seal the Webway Gate and allow the Astronomicon to function without his full attention. Imagine that moment of triumph getting ruined because 1,000 bloodlusted Grey Knights charge in and murder everyone. Now, to play some devil's advocate, I think there is another layer here, or at least I hope there is. I believe that the lore could insinuate that either the Emperor is doing a lot more than just keeping the Astronomicon on. For example, it could imply that he is literally in a constant state of throwing down with the Chaos Gods, keeping their influence in the galaxy limited. Thus, he must stay on the throne. Or even creepier, the Emperor...
That's a possibility. that he's not just sitting his ass over there.
Is so fucked up that if he did return to life, it wouldn't be the Emperor, but some sort of twisted
It
creature
would be
wearing the
something
Emperor's
else.
face, directed by a mind shattered by 10,000 years of torment. Maybe if he returned, it would bring about the return of the Dark King.
If you guys remembered, I'm not sure if you're a fan of Supernatural, but when Sam and Dean, when Sam got stuck inside his body with Satan or something, and he was like a chew toy for like a few months. So whatever it is that came out may not be Sam. I forgot what season was that, but you know what? Can someone please put it down in the comments? Like, you know what? After like 100,000 years of torment, he's definitely not going to be the same.
And the end of all things, thus justifying how stupid the idea of making the Grey Knights fight the Custodes sound. So as it stands, this lore by itself is extremely stupid. But if
Right,
it's the
definitely
entree
doesn't
to a
like
bigger
it.
revelation that could justify it, then that could be cool. But knowing GW, I think this is a case of them trying to be grimdark and edgy, only for them to look like a bunch of dumbasses.
Thank you for watching, guys. Now, if you want me to check out other stories here on YouTube, please let me know in the comments. We upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard. Please like, share, subscribe, do the whole notification button thing to help me out with the algo. And don't forget to check out our Twitch channel where you can catch me do this live. Now, class dismissed.